Will you pray with me? May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable to you, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Martha, Martha, Martha. You are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Martha always ends up as the butt of the joke. She's the moral of the story. We've got Mary, who focuses on Jesus and listens to his word. And Martha is focusing on all the things that need to get done. Mary chooses the better part, and Jesus commends her for it. Okay, but here's the thing. I really feel for Martha. Maybe you do too. And I would like to plead Martha's case. First of all, Mary is not helping. And might I add, neither is Jesus. And remember now, Jesus traveled with an entourage of 12 disciples, maybe more. And it sure doesn't sound like any of them have found their way to the kitchen to help. So Martha is alone, preparing a meal for at least 15 people who are just relaxing in her living room with drinks and shrimp cocktail. No wonder the girl is irritated. 2, there's just a lot to do. We as Christians are called to this ministry of hospitality. Whether it's a time of joy or a time of sorrow, there are always mouths to be fed. Later in the story, in the book of Acts, the early church will create this new office called deacon for just this reason. When you preach the gospel, you must also feed the people. And it's really hard to do both at the same time. In our own church, there are always meals to be cooked, right? Meals for the men's homeless shelter, food to be collected and then distributed for shared table, the Enos Garcia Nurture Center food pantry. There are potlucks to be prepared, refreshments to be given out, meals for the sick and the shut-ins. If someone is in need, you had better be sure there's a Presbyterian somewhere making them a covered dish. And finally, this reading comes right after last week's reading, the parable of the Good Samaritan, where Jesus painted us a picture of what the Christian life can be, actively seeking out and loving one's neighbor. He ended with the words, "Go and do likewise." Go and do. If there's anyone who is good at going and doing, it is Martha. I feel for Martha and I identify with her. Perhaps you do too. We are a go and do type of people, aren't we? And why do just one thing when you could do 7? In 2006, New York Times columnist Tom Friedman wrote an op-ed called "The Taxi Driver," in which he describes a recent taxi drive from the airport to the nearby city. During the 1-hour trip, Friedman and the driver had done 6 things. The driver had driven the cab, talked on his cell phone, and watched a video, which Friedman admitted was a little nerve-wracking. Whereas Friedman had ridden in the car, worked on a column on his laptop, and listened to his iPod, 2006. There was only one thing we never did, Friedman said. We never talked to each other. He went on to quote Linda Stone, a technologist, who has written that the disease of the internet age is continuous partial attention. Continuous partial attention. Well, guilty as charged. Friends, I have no ground on which to stand when it comes to preaching this text, except maybe as an object lesson in what not to do. You'll know that I spent the week before last attending the all-assembly plenary sessions of the Presbyterian Church USA General Assembly, which were held this year on Zoom. And here's the thing I learned about Zoom. You can log in on your phone, turn your camera off, stick your headphones in, or just one headphone if you want to be safe and still in tune with the world around you. Stick your phone in your back pocket or purse, and ta-da! Let the multitasking begin. So humor me, I would like to share with you an eye-opening but non-exhaustive list of things I did while also attending the online portion of the General Assembly. I responded to emails. I wrote 2 sermons. I drove to Santa Fe. I did my grocery shopping. I diligently followed and contributed to the humorous GA225 hashtag on Twitter. I cooked. I cleaned. I walked the dog. I used the bathroom. Don't worry, camera was off. I attended a budget and stewardship meeting. I wrote and proofread the bulletin and liturgy for this week, which is perhaps why, if you'll pull out your bulletin, there are a few glaring typos. Look at the call to worship, where it says, there is need of only one thing. Let's not be distracted during this sacred time. Or, now, Haywan, a good administrator, corrected this in the actual bulletin, but raise your hand if you got the email this week. Did you notice that the title of the sermon in that email was, where you attention is, there your heart will be also. Friends, I swear to you, these errors were not on purpose, but wow, do they make the point. Continuous partial attention means nothing gets your full attention. You are worried and distracted by many things, Jesus tells Martha. There is need of only one thing. I confess to you today my insane and unhealthy multitasking habit because I have a feeling it may sound familiar. Have you found yourself running from one meeting to the next? Cooking dish after dish, making phone call after phone call, checking the things off the list as you go, and yet there is always one more thing to do, one more place to be, one more person to please. We, like Martha, are a go and do type of people. It's easy to blame technology, and certainly that doesn't help. But Martha was not distracted by her iPhone notifications. No, we humans come by this continuous partial attention quite naturally. And we do not need a device in our hands to start running through that to-do list in our head. It's easy for our attention to be divided. But where our attention is, there our hearts will be also. Martha is more than just distracted. She is downright overwhelmed. There are so many things calling for her attention, and she is certain the world will not keep spinning if she allows herself to stop, even for a second. Sound familiar? Jesus calls Martha back to the table to sit and share and talk and listen. Because that simple conversation with Jesus, the disciples, and her sister Mary is worthy of all her time and all her attention. To be sure, Jesus has plenty of other things on his mind, too. There is plenty vying for his attention. Just a chapter before this morning's story, Luke tells us that Jesus sets his face toward Jerusalem, and he knows what awaits him there. Jesus is walking a long, slow road to the cross. He has things to do, people to meet, powers and principalities to face, love and salvation to accomplish, so much on which to focus his attention. But along the way, he stops to share a meal and conversation with a couple of old friends. Jesus calls us to go and do likewise. To take time like Mary to simply sit and listen. To do something utterly countercultural and focus our attention on just one thing. To have conversations. To share meals. To simply look into each other's eyes without glancing away to check that message that just popped in. We are worried and distracted by many things, yes, but there is need of only one thing. Or as another Mary Oliver put it, instructions for living. 1, pay attention. 2, be astonished. 3, tell about it. There is much to do. Oh, there is so much to do. But first, there is here, and there is now. There is food to be shared. There are people to be loved. There is time to be spent. And there is Jesus. Friends, let us direct our vision and our attention back to God. And perhaps even our hearts will follow.